Have you ever wondered what really makes God happy? Not what people say, but what the Word itself reveals. Most people think that God is only happy when we worship Him. But there is something much deeper, something that can completely change the way you connect with Him, and almost no one talks about it. If you want to discover this truth that can transform your spiritual life, stay with me until the end, because I will show you something that could be a turning point in your walk with God. The truth is that God is not only pleased with beautiful words or religious rituals, but with something much deeper, genuine faithfulness. Just as a husband is pleased to see that his wife loves him not just out of obligation, but because she wants to be with him, God is pleased with a heart that chooses him every day. Not out of fear, not out of self-interest, but out of true love. The question is, have we made God's heart glad with our faithfulness? Faithfulness is not just avoiding sin. It is putting God as a priority in every decision, in every thought. It is remembering that He is present when no one else sees it. How many times do we say that we love Him, but at the first difficulty we doubt Him? When discouragement strikes and hope seems distant, faithfulness proves true. God does not seek perfection, but seeks a heart that, even in the midst of struggle, continues to trust in Him. Think about it. What makes a relationship work? It's not just about saying I love you, but showing it with daily actions. It's the same with God. It's not enough to pray when we need something or seek Him only in moments of despair. He wants to be our first thought, our greatest joy. And when He notices this genuine faithfulness, His heart fills with joy. But are we living like this? Or have we, without realizing it, put other things above Him? Faithfulness is not just a commitment. It is an invisible shield that protects us from life's pitfalls. When someone remains firm in their faith, even in the most difficult moments, they are declaring to the world and to God Himself that they trust Him above all else. But are we truly faithful, or only when it suits us? True faithfulness is that which remains when no one is looking, when everything falls apart, when the promises seem distant. Being faithful to God is much more than attending a church or saying nice words. It is acting as if He were by our side at all times, guiding every choice, every thought, every step. Think about the small attitudes of everyday life. How do you treat people? How do you deal with difficulties? How do you react when no one can judge you? Faithfulness to God is reflected in the smallest things. And it is these small choices that build a deep relationship with Him. But here is the great revelation. God rejoices in our faithfulness more than we imagine. He does not seek perfection. He seeks constancy. Do you want to see someone who, even in the midst of chaos, does not let go of your hand? And the reward? Doors that no one can close, invisible deliverances, peace in the midst of the storm. But are we really prepared to trust at this level? Have you ever stopped to think that your life can be a mirror of God's glory? No matter how small you feel, God can transform your story into a living testimony. But there is one detail. A mirror only reflects what is in front of it. If our life is far from God, how can we reflect His light? Imagine a crystal clear river that reflects the sky. The purer it is, the clearer the image. But when the water is dirty, the reflection disappears. Our life works the same way. If we want people to see God in us, we need to keep our hearts clean, our actions righteous, our faith unshakable. And this does not mean living without flaws, but rather seeking the truth every day. And here comes the crucial point. Does anyone who looks at you see God, or just another person lost in the world? Does your faith shine in the way you speak, act, love? God has called us to be light in the world, not just pretty words. What are we reflecting today? The greatest mark we can leave on the world is not in the things we achieve, but in the impact we have on people's lives. Those who live a life dedicated to God do not need to shout about their faith. It manifests itself naturally in the way they live. But have we touched the lives of those around us? Or are we just going unnoticed? Think of someone who inspires you spiritually. It's not about what this person says, but about how they live. It's the small gestures, the constancy, the peace in their eyes. This is the true testimony of someone who has a heart given to God. The world is thirsty for real examples, and perhaps you are the answer someone needs. Now, a question that changes everything. If your life were a book, would it talk about faith, hope, and transformation, or would it be just another common story? True impact comes from a life lived with purpose, and there is no greater purpose than being a living reflection of God's love. Now that we have reached the end of this message, I ask you a question. What are you going to do with everything you have heard here today? The Word of God never returns empty, but it only transforms lives when it finds a heart willing to act. You have already realized that you can make God's heart happy with your faithfulness, reflect His glory in your daily life, and impact lives around you. But now comes the most important part, making a decision. Will you continue living as before, or will you take a step towards a life closer to God? Many hear, few practice. Many believe, but few truly live. Today, you can be different. You can start right now on a new journey of faithfulness, transformation, and total surrender. If this message touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs to hear this word today. And tell me here in the comments, what spoke to you most in this video? Your answer may touch someone who is reading. And if you want more content like this, subscribe to the channel right now and turn on notifications. That way, you won't miss any videos that can change your life. May God bless your journey, and may your life be a living testimony of His glory.